Imagine logging into your network with your morning coffee, only to realize your entire software engineering pipeline was legally shut down 90 minutes ago by the federal government with absolutely zero warning.
Yeah, just a sudden barrage of 403 errors.
Right. Welcome to AI Coffee Table Conversations. Today we are looking at three massive shifts for IT leaders: a geopolitical model recall, a $60 billion developer tool buyout, and the hyperscaler war over autonomous agents.
Let's get right into it because the rules of the game are basically being rewritten this week.
Yeah, they really are. So, story one, this feels like something out of a spy novel. The Trump administration issued this unprecedented export control directive targeting Anthropic. They forced them to globally suspend access to their new frontier models, Claude Fable 5 and Mythos 5, for any foreign national.
And they had to execute that global shutdown in exactly 90 minutes.
Which is insane. I mean, logistically, how do you even do that? But first, what actually triggered this?
Right, so Amazon researchers found this very narrow jailbreak technique.
Yeah.
Using some highly specific, nested prompts. They got these new Anthropic models to actively identify zero-day software vulnerabilities in massive code bases.
Okay, but models find bugs all the time.
They do, and Anthropic argued that. But the government applied a really strict national security interpretation here. Historically, export controls were for, physical things, right?
Yeah.
Shipping high-end GPUs or centrifuges.
Tangible assets.
Exactly. But here, they essentially treated the software model's weights as a tangible national security weapon.
So they're regulating a cloud-based mathematical formula like it's military hardware.
Yeah. And because an API gateway can't instantly verify the passport of every single web user in real time, Anthropic's only option to comply in 90 minutes was to just pull the plug globally.
Look, for an IT leader, building your workflow around a tool that can just vanish. Cloud permanence is officially a myth.
Oh, this is a massive wake-up call. The EMEA enterprise study data we reviewed showed that 81% of enterprises would face severe, unrecoverable business impact from just a 7-day AI outage.
So automated customer support stops, deployment pipelines freeze.
Total operational collapse.
Yeah.
Because people hard code these specific APIs directly into their workflows. Now, not everyone got shut out. There was Project Glasswing.
Right, I saw that. About 200 companies like Cisco and AWS kept access. How?
ITAR compliance. They were operating in secure, audited spaces like GovCloud that could actually prove users were U.S. citizens on U.S. soil. It bifurcated the market overnight.
Okay, so for the IT directors and senior managers listening, is this an act, watch, or ignore?
Well, this is a strict act. You have to eliminate single vendor dependencies right now. You need to build an agnostic model routing layer.
You meaning a semantic gateway that translates prompts on the fly?
Exactly. Your internal app asks for a code review. The gateway tries Claude. If Claude returns a 403 error because of a geopolitical shutdown, the gateway instantly translates the syntax and fails over to OpenAI's GPT 5.5.
And the business doesn't go down.
Right. You have to assume sudden volatility.
Okay, moving to story two. If governments are locking down the models at the API level, the tech giants are realizing they need to own the environment where the code is actually written.
The vertical stack consolidation. This is huge.
Yeah, just days after their IPO, SpaceX announced they're buying Anysphere. That's the parent company of Cursor, the AI code editor. And it's an all-stock deal for $60 billion.
$60 billion for a code editor.
I gotta be honest, SpaceX builds rockets. Why drop $60 billion on a software tool? Is this just a massive data grab?
It absolutely is. Look, this shows that the competitive mode is no longer the foundation models. As we just saw, those could be regulated into oblivion in an hour and a half. The new mode is the front-end IDE workflow layer, the digital workbench where developers sit. By owning Cursor, SpaceX, and xAI, get a continuous, massive loop of workflow telemetry.
They're watching exactly how human engineers solve logical problems.
Exactly. You get the keystrokes, the backspaces, the raw code fragments. That telemetry is the most valuable asset in the world right now for training their next-gen reasoning models, like Grok.
But Cursor's whole appeal was always multi-model optionality, right? You could use Anthropic or OpenAI or whatever you wanted.
Which brings up the huge risk here for IT teams. Vertical stack lock-in.
The walled garden.
Yeah. What happens when xAI decides to narrow that optionality? They might offer free compute if you use Grok, but suddenly throttle your API calls to Anthropic.
And then there's the data privacy nightmare. If your enterprise source code is sitting in an environment owned by a defense and aerospace conglomerate,
Your compliance team needs to be sounding the alarm. You have to prove your proprietary algorithms aren't being quietly ingested to train XAI's public models.
So act, watch, or ignore for IT leadership.
This is an act, specifically around portability. You have to constantly evaluate alternative IDE platforms. If your team gets entirely dependent on the SpaceX cursor loop, you lose all your leverage.
Okay, that brings us to story 3, the bedrock infrastructure. We had massive announcements from Google Cloud Next and the AWS New York Summit.
The battle for the agentic enterprise.
Right. And they are taking very different paths. Google is going fully vertical, Gemini Enterprise Agent Platform, zero-copy lakehouses, custom silicon,
They want to own the whole stack from the chip to the UI.
while AWS is going modular, Bedrock Agent Core, AWS Context, autonomous vulnerability patching.
The real takeaway from both of these is that the era of the Copilot is officially dead. This is real, it's not hype.
Okay, clarify that.
This-
This Copilot has been the buzzword forever.
A Copilot is stateless. It's like a really smart microwave. You push a button, it generates a paragraph, and then it goes to sleep. It has no memory. What Google and AWS are building now are persistent autonomous agents. Think of a digital restaurant manager. You don't tell it how to cook the soup. You just say, run a profitable dinner service.
And it orders the ingredients, schedules staff, negotiates.
Exactly. All asynchronously interacting with other agents. But to do that safely, they need context, which is why context engineering is the new differentiator.
Because if your data is trapped in silos, the agent hallucinates or breaks security rules. Is that where Google's zero-copy lakehouse comes in?
Yeah. Historically, to ground an AI, you had to copy your database into a vector database. Massive security risk.
Duplicating sensitive data.
Right. Zero copy separates compute from storage. The AI queries your single source of truth directly. No copies, no synchronization errors.
But the actions these agents take, AWS Continuum is doing autonomous code patching. It finds a bug and writes the fix itself. What if it introduces a logical error that takes down your payment gateway?
It's incredibly dangerous without human-in-the-loop validation. But honestly, the faster way an agent ruins your quarter is cost runaway.
Because you pay by the token.
Yes. Imagine two agents get stuck in a recursive loop trying to verify a file. They start pinging each other at machine speed.
Oh man, thousands of API calls a second.
You could rack up a $50,000 cloud bill over a long weekend before anyone even notices.
So act, watch, or ignore.
Absolute act. You have to implement agent tops.
And what does that actually look like for the infrastructure teams?
Two things. First, immutable agent trajectories.
Like a flight data recorder.
Exactly. A cryptographically signed ledger of every single decision an API call the agent makes. If it breaks, that's your only way to reverse engineer why.
And the second thing.
Hard-coded finance gating. Do not trust the AI to manage a budget. You have to build physical circuit breakers at the API gateway level that cut the connection if an agent hits a specific token spend limit.
I love that. A financial circuit breaker. All right, we've hit our time limit. So what is the one single thing IT leaders should do this week based on all of this?
Audit your API dependencies immediately. Find out exactly where your business-critical workflows are hard-coded to a single model provider and start architecting that agnostic routing layer we talked about.
You have to design for volatility.
Yep, the plug could get pulled tomorrow.
Before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on regarding these autonomous agents. If we are setting up persistent agents to execute complex workflows, what happens when your company's AWS procurement agents start autonomously negotiating dynamic pricing contracts with your partner's Google sales agents?
Machine-to-machine negotiation.
Yeah. In a couple of years, who is actually running the strategic operations of the enterprise? The human executive team or a swarm of cryptographically identified agents just optimizing against each other in the dark?
Well, that's the reality we're accelerating towards.
It really is. Thank you for joining us for Coffee Table Conversations. We will see you next week.